Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Pravi Lopov titled Model. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. Should be noticed this is another track through Youth&Rain Music, which is the label they go through, so that's dope. Shout out to them. And we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. Oh, okay. An ad. Okay, never mind. There we go. Track now. Again, we've got this really atmospheric synthesizers to start things off. Oh, the chord no groove. We got to the crux of it a lot more quickly when we did with the previous track. I think with the previous track we were a little bit too kind of hesitant to establish a groove initially, you know? Warrior, that was the previous track, yeah. I actually like the leveling of everything in the mix here with those kind of unusual pads in the background. It's kind of dope. It's kind of dope if I'm honest. I mean, like, it's a really spooky kind of voice that we've got, you know, going on, but it's matches the aesthetic of the overall track in terms of the tones that we've got and everything like that, you know? It's nice to have the airiness though, like if I'm honest. It's nice to have the contrast of the constant chord note kind of like kicks and such with the cymbals and the do-do-do synth sequences on top, establishing like kind of a little bit of playfulness in there and amongst the darkness, the savagery of everything else. I like the automation of the padding. The stereo field there is really nice to listen to. Really interesting, intriguing. Kind of sounds like the thoughts spinning around your head.
Shadows moving back and forth, in trains filled with senseless thoughts, minds out of concrete. The city bleeds.
Hang on a minute. I think what kind of sells it to me the most is simply the fact that this contrast between the styles of composition that we have here. The initial track Warrior was a lot more mysterious with how, you know, the instruments didn't necessarily form a groove straight away. You know, like how they kind of debated kind of coming together. Whereas this time we've kind of cut to the chase a bit more Model. We've got that catwalk kind of vibe there. You can imagine an actual model going down the runway, you know what I mean? It's fashion, dude, it's chic. It's just that bomb, 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 that simple motif there, which is easy to follow along to, you know. There's really not a lot of complexity to it, but it's nonetheless engaging because of how sort of hypnotic it is.
Shadows moving back and forth.
Ah, shadows moving back and
Trains filled
forth.
with senseless thoughts. Minds are out of concrete. The city bleeds.
It is incredibly unsettling with the way that they've structured these synth tones. I'm wondering if they're presets or they've made their own. Considering the way they managed to get these individual textures to meld, it wouldn't surprise me if they have created their own synth sort of like settings where they're using like analog hardware or something else, you know. Not a lot else though to really talk about. I mean, like, I don't necessarily mind that there's a sense of minimalism with the layering and stuff like that, and we aren't incorporating new layers or leads as we go along. Like, if you're in a club vibe or you're DJing this, because I think Pravi Lopov does DJing and stuff like that, I think they understand the benefits of having a long-form track with not a lot of change. It allows the listener to kind of get lost in it and just kind of dance and just kind of vibe to it. It's not like when you are, you know, like you're sitting down and you're just listening to it, like that's it, you're actively, you know. I mean, there's enough variation taken away, the low end, you know, the kicks there. That little break there, that kind of pregnant pause that we got going on, that's dope. Just kind of flutters on by. Da-dun dun dun. Da-dun. Da-dun dun. Da-dun. And there's small variations again with the synth. Like sometimes we have the snare come in on the quarters and then there's some occasional eighths. And then they come in on a sixth for a bit of a swing to it. Subscribe when you love. Do I love this track though? Do I love it or do I respect and appreciate it? Because this is the conclusion of my review of Pravi Lopov's track titled Model. What do I think this track is about? You know, I was listening back to the lyrics, you know, trains of senseless thoughts or something like that, going back and forth. I'm wondering if it's about just kind of like getting lost in the idea of modeling, you know, like going up and down the catwalk, getting lost in the moment, just kind of being enamored and over, you know, intoxicated by this, by senses being overloaded. That's the kind of vibe I get from this track, you know, the music kind of overwhelming you and getting you lost within it. The vocals, I got most of the words through clearly, well, not all of them, very much in that low end there. It's not badly mixed or anything like that. I think it's just I was paying attention to those and amongst everything else, so they were just competing sort of factors for attention, but those lines were repeated, I think, for that purpose, so that's absolutely fine. Now the vocals sounded great, and they had like kind of a kind of sultry kind of like sexiness that kind of worked around that low range to suit everything else, and mixed with like the darker sounding kind of synthesizers and the bass tones and the drums and all that kind of stuff. I think that the track at 6 minutes 46, you know, 6 minutes 46 is a long song, but I think we made good use of that real estate. You know, I've got no real complaints about that. It seems as if Pravi Lopov had a theme that they had at the start, that bomb, and they just wanted to let that glide in a longer, an extended mix. I know this is the original mix, but it's, you know, it's quite, because I do a bit of DJing myself, you know, I understand that there's a benefit to having a longer form track so that you have plenty of time to have that and then switch into another song later on. So this is a song I think that's ideal for like doing some mixing and stuff like that in clubs. And I think that it has a home in that kind of, you know, vibe for sure. You know, I definitely feel as though, you know, if Pravi Lopov did that, their music could be in any sort of nightclub they wanted to, you know. Maybe not with the more sort of mainstream tunes though, but like the kind of like, what kind of genre would this be? Dude, I don't even know what to describe this genre as. It's like a kind of house though, isn't it? Yeah, like a kind of house music. But we can talk about that later on. Ultimately, we have a great overall sort of ambience here that works well with the mysterious nature of the vocals. We have the quarter note groove of the drums there, the accents there to just keep going right at the start. And we've got some occasional cymbal parts there, the snares coming in to kind of clap in the mid-range. The bass is foundational at that low end, that dun 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 dun, that main sort of synth motif that's just repeated throughout, with an interesting kind of groove there that is kind of parallel to the quarter note accents on the kicks, and it just kind of keeps it driving forward without it being too rhythmically monotonous. There are some occasional sort of synth pads that are playing those kind of notes there that kind of have a nice sort of attack envelope that comes in slowly, kind of builds up over time, which I enjoy. I think that's great. And honestly, like if I'm real, I don't really think you need to change a thing about this. I think the combination of these elements, they notch well in the frequency spectrum in the stereo field. And so you've just got this arrangement where, again, it doesn't overwhelm the listener. It's just the fullness of the sounds of everything kind of press all the right buttons. You know what I mean? So I'm very, very impressed with what we had here. That's very well done. The overall feeling I got was that kind of moody, kind of like dark nightclub kind of vibe there, but with like gothic models strutting up and down, kind of industrial kind of aesthetic, gothic kind of thing, you know? So that was cool, you know? If that's not what we're going for, that's fine. I misinterpreted, but then the beauty of music is that it is open to interpretation. And what else do I want to say about this? What else do I want to say about this track? I think that the mixing and mastering, the studio production was great. I think that he did tremendously well. Audio engineering is a consistent quality throughout the two releases I've heard so far, Warrior and Model. You know, the clarity of the vocals on top of the bass synths, the pads, the drums, the bass, all that, you know, like they're nicely mixed and leveled, and you know, like there is dynamic range. There are points where everything sort of cut out and the synth motif just floated, and it was never too much. It never kind of began grating or became uninteresting. It had a wonderful ability outside of what was going on, in part due to the fact that there were kind of points where some of the instruments were taken away, and it allowed for sort of different sections to be observed regardless of the fact that the motif didn't really change. You know, that we had that similar sort of melodic theme the entire time with occasional sort of instantiations of other sort of harmonies, but we never really kind of divided from it, and that added to a sense of again, mesmerizing kind of continuity to the rhythms and all that kind of stuff that allowed us to go from start to finish without any major issues. There was automation of the panning of stuff in the stereo field, as well as interesting kind of builds and throws of like the attack of the synth parts. It was nice and loud with dynamic range, and everything was limited and compressed nicely, and the side chaining of the kicks to the bass was great. All in all, this is another great track from Pravi Lopov and Youth&Rain Music, and I look forward to seeing what they do in future, because this is my review of this track Model, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either how more than ever a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.